welcome to Moving Kentucky Forward. This is a special edition of our podcast. Normally we record these at the end of the week and post them at the beginning of the next week, but we were able to get an interview with Congressman John Yarmuth on Thursday morning, and with all the fast-moving things in Washington, we thought it'd be good to go ahead and get it posted so people could hear the interview. So here is our interview with Congressman John Yarmuth. We welcome Congressman John Yarmuth back to the show. Congressman, welcome back to Moving Kentucky Forward.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to be with you.
Sort of a slow news week. How's the golf game?
Well, I feel like I ought to be hitting something, but
yeah,
probably not a golf ball this week.
Stuff is moving pretty rapidly, so just let me ask you a couple of quick questions. Is there anything new this morning that you have seen or heard?
Well, I've read the whistleblower complaint, and it is every bit as devastating as some people had predicted. It not only clearly indicates that the president was involved in trying to leverage his powers as president using national security in order to achieve a political aim, but it also demonstrates that there was a huge cover-up attempt made by White House officials who clearly knew that the call was very, very, very inappropriate, if not illegal. So I think what it's done is make sure that there are going to be a lot of people called in for questioning after this whistleblower complaint.
I also read last night and this morning that in the whistleblower complaint, he said that the transcript of the call had been placed in a system that's only supposed to be used for code words and for national security issues, and which was inappropriate, and then said that many other transcripts have been placed in the same system. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, yes, I've heard reports of that as well. That was in the complaint, and this is very, very. I've heard the word disconcerting and concerning, and too many times over the last couple of days. But it's just staggeringly scary. So
some of us, including you, have been saying for a while that this president needed to be impeached for violating the Emoluments Clause, for being a threat to national security, for any number of other reasons. Why did this particular incident hit with such a splash and cause so much movement? Is it because it came from outside Congress?
Well, I think that may be part of it. I think because many of the members I've talked to for whom this was the pivotal event said that it's something that they felt the American people clearly understood, and that it was offensive on many, many levels because it involved national security, and it involves election security, and it involves obviously a clear abuse of power on the part of the president. So, you never quite know. It may be just this was the one. If you stack up a bunch of beer cans and the one finally makes it all topple, I'm sure that was part of it as well. But I think everybody felt that we would be on very solid ground in actually moving on impeachment with this kind of offense.
Have you? I know that you have been in discussion with Speaker Pelosi in the past about various strategic decisions. My understanding is that she wants to keep this impeachment inquiry primarily or only to the whistleblower complaint and the Ukraine situation. Is that still operative, or is there a possibility that other things will roll into it?
Well, I was in a meeting the other day, and committee chairmen, and Jerry Nadler said, and Adam Schiff was there too, of course, and Jerry said, well, we could have a list of 15 articles of impeachment, but first of all, that would take a long time. Second, this is the easiest one for the public to understand. And therefore, there would probably be just a handful of articles of impeachment based on this, based on obstruction of Congress, although that one might disappear now since the whistleblower complaint has been provided. But in any event, I think the Speaker and everyone else involved in the decisions knows that we have to move fairly quickly, that we can't let this drag out for months and months and months. We have to act while the nation's attention is focused on it. So I suspect you're going to see articles of impeachment brought before the Judiciary Committee in probably early November, and then see what happens from there.
There's been some discussion of maybe canceling the recess to work on this sooner and quicker. Any thought about that?
That's not going to happen. If this were a normal district work period, I think they may have made that decision. But we have the holiest the holiest Jewish holiday week after next, Jewish New Year next week, and they just happen to fall in the middle of 2 weeks, and that complicates it. Again, the staffs will be working. That's one thing I think most people don't understand. A large percentage of the work that's done up here on legislative activity is done by staff.
Sure.
And that will continue to go on. So they'll be, I'm sure, next week working on additional witnesses, additional subpoenas if they need them. And then when all the members of the committee get back in mid-October, they'll be prepared to act. So in other words, taking those 2 weeks off for members probably won't impact the progress of the impeachment inquiry at all. What it might do, and this is the problem, is it might give the president kind of an open mic over the next 2 weeks to say whatever he's going to say without any consistent response. And that, I think we have to be careful about that.
Have you had any discussions with Republicans in the House? Any of them moving in their position?
Well, you're seeing hints of it. One Republican who was just in the Intelligence Committee hearing said very clearly, I want the president to know this is not all right. It's not all right for him to do this. This is serious. So you're hearing more and more. I mean, I've watched them when I came in this morning, walked by a couple of Republicans going to their Republican conference meeting, and they all look like their dog had died.
But you haven't spoken to any of them directly, privately?
Oh, I have. No, I've spoken to several over the last 24 hours. Okay.
How about with the other Congress people from Kentucky? Have you talked to any of them?
Well, I've talked to. I was sitting with Thomas Massey for a while yesterday afternoon. I was talking to Andy Barr as well, and we didn't talk specifically about how they felt about it, but they're decent people, and I know that they are very, very concerned about what's going to happen from here on in, and how they should react. But I think, just as the dam broke with Democratic members coming out for impeachment the other day, I think the dam is about to break as well for Republicans who are going to start saying, no, this isn't all right.
So what about Mitch? I assume you haven't spoken with him. Do you have any insight into where that might go?
No. He was pretty consistent yesterday in saying and pushing back against the charges, saying this really wasn't anything there. It's hard for me to believe that somebody in that position would not say at least that this conduct, if it's true, would not be acceptable. But he's not prone to do that. He's going to have a lasting legacy, though, of being in a position where he was protecting a criminal and knowingly protecting a criminal. He's going to have to live with that.
So let's play forecaster. What do you think is going to happen in the House?
Okay, I would say that we'll see articles of impeachment in the Judiciary Committee first part of November, that they will vote on them before Thanksgiving. And they will send the articles of impeachment to the floor of the House, and there will be a vote on them in the early part of December following Thanksgiving break. That would be my guess. Then who knows what will happen at that point. I think one of the things that everybody says, well, the Senate's never going to convict him, and I certainly think that's probably the way you'd have to bet. But these impeachment hearings, first in the Judiciary Committee, and the markup in the Judiciary Committee, and then the debate on the floor, could certainly change attitudes in the public arena. And then if not that many Republicans need to flip in order to get to 67 votes. So I'm not at all certain that it's not possible that he could be convicted if the case is made strongly enough in the Judiciary Committee and on the floor.
Are there any discussions about bringing impeachment charges against any other people? I've seen some discussion about Attorney General Barr, for instance.
I've not heard any discussion among Democratic members, but I think it's pretty obvious that after reading the complaint, you'd certainly have to pursue an investigation of him, and because it certainly seems that he may have committed impeachable offenses. And the number of people in the White House, who knows how high it goes, but the number of people in the administration and in the White House who are going to be will have their careers destroyed by this is a pretty significant number. So I think you're going to see a lot of people leaving the administration pretty quickly.
Okay, before I get to my last question, is there anything I should have asked that you wish I had asked?
No, not really. As you mentioned at the beginning, I co-sponsored an impeachment resolution in November of 2017, so almost 2 years ago. And the one thing the president did that convinced me I needed to do that was when he threatened to use the FCC to deny broadcasting licenses to stations that didn't broadcast what he wanted, and which I considered an impeachable abuse of power. And this certainly involves an abuse of power again. And we probably, if you thought hard enough about it, you could probably find 30 or 40 at least abuses of power by this White House. So this is what happens when you get somebody with both a narcissistic complex as well as paranoia and insecurity, which I guess most autocrats have, who think that they can do whatever they want. And I hope that this impeachment process, one of the reasons I think a lot of people, going back to one of your other questions, a lot of people thought that this was a tipping point was because it was pretty evident that there was no other way to hold this president accountable for his acts other than impeach him, because we weren't able to use the courts. We weren't able to use the normal mechanisms for getting information and documents. So I'm hopeful that this system at least kind of reasserts the institutional integrity of the Congress, and then also helps to rebalance the balance of power in the government.
So I think most of us know sort of the path this is going to go, as you've already outlined. Without me having to call your office out of the blue, as we watch this progress, are there any warning signs or any detours that if they happen, we should be especially watchful or concerned?
Well, I think probably the one thing that you have to watch in the procedure is whether we need to be sure the Judiciary Committee can get enough votes to get articles out of the committee. There are 24 24 Democrats on the Judiciary Committee, and because of and 17 Republicans. So we need to get 22 votes for impeachment in order to get it out of the committee, and if no Republicans vote for them. So I'm not worried about getting the 218 votes on the floor right now, but that's a potential glitch if you have a couple holdouts on the Judiciary Committee. The committee is overwhelmingly, I think, and I haven't compared the list of whatever it is now, 219 who have said they support an impeachment inquiry, whether all 24 members of the Judiciary Committee are on them. But I know that there were a few who were pretty resistant to the idea of impeachment. So that's a potential glitch, but I doubt if that'll happen.
Okay. Congressman John Yarmuth, one of our favorite people in the world, thank you for your service and thank you for your time.
Okay, Bruce. Enjoyed being with you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
That was Congressman John Yarmuth speaking to us at 11 o'clock on Thursday, September 26th, as we are in the midst of the Ukraine whistleblower story. We appreciate the Congressman taking time out of his incredibly busy schedule to speak with us, and we hope we'll have him on again sometime for a much longer interview. If you are not a member of Forward Kentucky, this is the month to do it. We do a membership drive about every 3 months, and this month is almost over, and so is our membership drive almost over. You can go to forwardky.com/join and sign up right there. The beginning membership, the basic membership, is $3 a month and gets you unlimited access to our content as well as some other perks. That's all for now. See you next week.